This time on Woody's Garage, will you ever get your little white Johnson going? We might need to find a big black Mercury.
Okay, an update on my windmill duck deterrent whirlybird thing. What I found is this was about to fall off, this propeller here that I hot glued on. So I crudely stuck some nails in it. Yeah, they're not going to last. And the thing that I found with this is the propeller's working pretty good despite how stupidly crude it is. I'm going to make another one out of plywood, that piece of plywood there. Try to make something that's a little bit nice. Did you see that? What a beautiful piece of plywood. I had this piece of plastic from a Diablo saw blade that I just got, and I just cut out this penis looking shape here and stuck it on the end. The reason being, the propeller's working pretty good, but the rudder back here isn't enough to actually move the unit around. So everything is, this is all just, you know, prototype, because I want to build a nice one. But we'll see how this one works. Oh, I got the hot glue gun going again just to seal this up so that the water doesn't go in there and break it off. Give it a little more substantiality. Hot glue everywhere. I made these stripes. Yeah, maybe to give the tail a little more rigidity. Beautiful. Total time spent on this beauty so far is about a half an hour total. So I kind of searched online for an answer, looking for opinions, and no one wants to touch this one. It seems like I don't really blame them. It opens a can of worms that, like, you know, you start trying to help somebody and it's hard to walk away. Me being the person you'd walk away from. But one guy said, like, hey, if everything works like you said it did, then it's, you know, it's got to be the coil, even if the ohmage reads right. So I found a coil from 1979, 120 horsepower Johnson. Looked exactly the same. I asked the guy, I said, do you know if it's the same? He said, oh yeah, it's the same, it'll work. It looks exactly like it. So I'm hoping it will work. It was, it's going to be about 40 bucks, another 40 bucks into this piece of shit. But I figured what I'm going to do right now is put the thing back together. I'd kind of like to have my little shop area back, so I want to put the engine kind of back together, complete, so all I got to do is swap out the coil when it comes and put the thing outside where it belongs. So right now, after all that blabbing, we got the old pin that I totally trashed, and what we're going to do is we're going to solder it instead of buying a new pin, because it seems people want like $20 shipping for one pin, you know. $7.95 for this pin and $20 shipping. Go eat me. So anyway, we got a piece of shrink wrap on here ready to go. The first thing we're going to do, if the soldering iron is behaving, meaning is it hot? A clean soldering iron is always the best thing you can do for soldering. This is a pretty fat ass wire we got here. You gotta heat up this wire, not the solder. Oh, that's always what you want to do when it doesn't start going. It's funny though, you get the solder kind of started on it sometimes, and the solder's hot enough that it heats up the wire so that the wire gets hotter, but then you got to hold the soldering iron underneath it and get the thing hot enough so it kind of sucks through all the wires. And gets a little bit on your pinky. Oh, my pinky. Yeah, looks pretty good. Then let's see if we can get solder flowing on this. Once again, you want to apply the solder to the pin, not to the iron. See if we got anything there. That's probably weak. Yeah, I don't like that. We'll be here for hours. I'll show you when it's done. Yeah, it looks okay. Oh, and look, I got the shrink wrap. The shrink wrap got close enough to the soldering iron that it shrunk. I think I can get a piece over the end though this way, so 1 second. A riot. Alright, we got everything back together the way it was, except for we don't have this connector put on because I still want to do some testing when I get it, and then we'll put the pins through the connector. And yeah, I did try it again after I got it all wired up, and it's the same thing, just spark on the lower one. I did route the wires behind the water pump, which kind of helped. You know, one thing I thought of when I did this is that I was all ready to go. I put the head on, you know, everything seemed to be a go. I was put on the cowl, and the cowl was having a hard time over here closing because, like, wires were, like, sticking out, and I just, you know, I'd kind of, like, just push it in, not really knowing what I was pushing on. And, you know, maybe that's where my problem started somehow. But, anyway, I mean, look at how this coil lines up. It's all, like, crookedy. You know, it's to the point that it's going to flex, like, this way. You know, bend like this. Because it's always pulling on it like that. So I saw a bunch of these for sale. I didn't want to buy another one. Alright, I got my new coil. It looks like absolute shit. You can't see it underneath there, but it's like all leaking and stuff. I said this is never going to work. I hitched it up. And I got spark on both cylinders. How long this thing's going to last, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I mean there, how crusty it is. You know, like it's gotten hot and the PCBs or whatever, the death juice comes out of the coil, and as it starts to break down. But, you know, these things are kind of rare. I did see another one for $1/4 of the price after I bought this piece of shit. But it does work. I'm going to fix up the connections a little bit better. All the connections are kind of bad. And clean everything up and reinstall it. Have I mentioned how much I hate this motor? Anyway, yeah, last night I had spark on both cylinders. I tried putting the plug back together and hitching up the wires, and I had no spark. So now I got 1/2 of the plug. One half of the plug, this guy, off, and we're just plugging the pins right into this connection. And what I have right now is kind of a crappy looking spark on both cylinders. But I want to see if it runs, and I'm going to haul it down to the boat and put it on the boat so I can get even more pissed off. Update on our whirlybird thing. Obviously I gave it a quickie paint job. I brought it out here when it was still wet. I made the stick into a point here so that it wouldn't bind up when it went back and forth like this. Put some grease on it and put some like glue veins on the back of the tin can, the Polar Springs water, seltzer water can fins. It works a shitload better. Right, we got the gas tank hitched up. Choke on. Hitting and missing on one cylinder. The connections just aren't good. Well, let's take it up for a ride anyway. See what happens. Out here, but it can only be running on one cylinder or something. It's still totally whack. Yeah, I came out with pretty low expectations, and yeah, that's what I got. So I got some pliers with me. I'm going to see if I can make better connection in this. I almost want to rip it apart, just use regular like house connectors. I'm so sick of this. Alright, here we are today with our new coil. This is the second coil that we've gotten, and it's hitched up. It's hitched up without the pins, without the connector I mean. And this one also came without a pin, so I just put some solder on the end and we'll stick it in there. I don't know what we're going to end up using for a connector. But right now, what we want to see is if we got spark.
Well, hurry up. I need to go to the bathroom.
Yes! Beautiful, healthy spark. Wonderful. Wow, that was it. Did you get to see it? On both of them. There we are, folks. Spark. Awesome. Awesome. So, to break this fiasco down, we had bought a power pack, which we thought it was. No. We did not need it. We bought a coil, which was faulty, returned it on eBay, had to fight to get my money back, but got my money back. Bought this one at a third of the price from actually a guy's YouTube channel that I watch, T Mike's Vintage Outboard. The guy's awesome. Bought it from him, so I knew it was going to be good. Like I said, at a third of the damn price. Put it in, and we got a great spark. Now we got to figure out what we're going to do with the connector. If we're going to get rid of this rubber part down here too, and just use some solder the wires together or something. It'll work. I don't like it, but I'm not going to buy a new connector and new pins and stuff like that. Or, I don't know, maybe I will. But that'll be the next step. It's evening, kind of darkish. kind of wet, but somebody out enjoying the pond anyway. So we'll probably put it in the water and see what it does tomorrow. I'd almost forgotten where our story started, and that was the head gasket. I bought this with low compression. It looked like it had spark on both cylinders. Replaced the head gasket, and then we ran into these electrical problems. Well, it runs. I don't know how well. I guess we gotta find out. We've got weeds all over the propeller. Oh yeah. This thing cooked. Yeah, it's fast. It doesn't like to run slow though. Yeah, those connections are shit, but both cylinders are working. I guess it's just refinement now. I don't know, that doesn't seem to... Needs some messing with. Like it just seems to want to cut out. Fast. I gotta put it on the other boat. Okay, we're into port. Impeller seems to be working. It's not running very smooth, but I'll tell you, when I had it open, it was fast as my 9.9, or my 9.5 I should say. It really took off. So there'll be some refinements to make it work right. I want to do some maintenance on that engine anyway, so I want to put this engine on that boat. Oh, when I first got out there, there's a lot of weeds in this pond. You can see all the lily pads over here, but there's also this undergrowth out there that you can probably see just before the swan out there. And it kind of was bogging down in that. Sometimes that wraps around the propeller and will actually stop the motor. Okay, we got the engine on the boat. We're gonna give it a try. That's the up. And you can see all the weeds right here. Kind of furring now, but I felt a lot faster on the other boat. Maybe it's not furring. I don't know. I'd say all is good. This engine has a 3-fin prop. My older one only has a 2-fin one, and the 2-fin one seems to go through the weeds better than the 3-fin. I guess the 3-fin picks up more weeds. You can see all the weeds here coming through the island. One thing I noticed is the throttle, the friction, like you give it gas and it kind of backs off a little bit. And I know that can be adjusted. I forgot how to do it, but we'll adjust that too so it sticks a little better. It's burning really well. And the divers out again today. What they think they're going to do to the weeds, I have no idea. Waste of money. Yeah, all in all, it works good. I still got to work on that latch holding down the cover. It doesn't close all the way. But a few other minor details, like I said, like the throttle is, there's not enough friction to hold it at the same speed it wants to, slow down. So we'll figure that out. But, and we'll make a better connection instead of having that temporary just, wires jammed into the connector. We'll see if we can fix the connector too. But this is probably the engine I will use for the rest of the season. Success.